Breaking news on this Friday morning. The ACC has voted to extend invites to Stanford Cal and SMU, and if they accept said invites, they will join the league for the 2024 through 2025 seasons. Welcome into College Football Now. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us as we break down this news from the Atlantic Coast Conference that now will be going coast to coast and touching the Gulf Coast and everything in between. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network tweeting out first thing this morning, the ACC will add Stanford Cal and SMU in 2024. Sources told the Action Network HQ. The league's presidents got the required 12 of 15 votes to expand the ACC's football membership to 17 schools. SMU will not receive any media rights revenue for the first 7 years, while Stanford and Cal will receive reduced shares, sources said. Also of note, McMurphy went on to say one reason the ACC added Stanford, Cal, and SMU is ESPN's media rights deal with the ACC allows ESPN to renegotiate if the league drops below 15 members, sources told Action Network, with potential future departures of Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina, all who voted against expansion. The ACC wanted to get Power 5 schools now as opposed to Group of 5 schools later to maintain required membership numbers. So there it is. It is in the works as we should see these schools accept that invitation in the next several hours. Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, added this as well. In a straw poll more than 3 weeks ago, 4 ACC schools dissented. Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and NC State. One of them needed to flip for the vote to pass, and all eyes entered the meeting on NC State Chancellor Randy Woodson. It was a 12-3 vote on Friday with NC State flipping. North Carolina and North Carolina State did not need to be tied together, but some of the uncertainty around Woodson's vote came from the political ramifications of not being aligned with North Carolina. When we have the next round of realignment, there's a belief that North Carolina could have their pick between the Big Ten and the SEC, and that NC State was trying to attach themselves to the hip of North Carolina to be able to follow suit. It seems unlikely that North Carolina is going to take them wherever they go. As far as the ACC, with these additions of bringing in these 3 new schools, you are adding schools for a short-term financial gain. $50 to $60 million a year you are getting of adding these schools. But this doesn't fix the league's long-term problems here. It's not just Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina that are upset with where the TV contract is and trying to find more money out there. You're talking about Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Louisville. At some point, the ACC is likely to come crashing down as well, similar to the fate of the Pac-12 because of how bad that TV contract is. So you put a Band-Aid on things for the moment, but your demise is still coming. You've just held off for a few moments anyway. We'll explain more on the futures of this league and the rest of college football in a moment. But first, what is your one-word reaction to the ACC adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU? My one word is, I mean, really? You're not going to do yourselves any favors on the football field with these additions. That's my one word. Of all the additions that happened of other power conferences, this was the worst ones of these 3 compared to what the Big 12 did, what the Big 10 did, what the SEC has done. It doesn't get the job done for me. Give me your one-word reaction in the comment section. Folks, this is why you subscribe to College Football Now by Chat Sports, as when we have big-time college football news, we're bringing you a video here on the channel. We have been all over realignment over the last month plus, bringing you the latest news and rumors of what's been going on the realignment front. We're also talking transfer portal and recruiting and plenty of college football talk with the season already underway. I want 40 subscribers off today's video. And if we get 40 subs off today's video, I can tell you this much. We're even going to take it up another notch when it comes to college football videos around here. So go ahead and subscribe now for free. Join the family for our continuous college football coverage here by Chat Sports. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. Absolutely free. Subscribe now. All right, let's tell you 5 things that you need to know as far as the ACC situation goes. Stanford, Cal, and SMU joining as all sports members in 2024 and through 2025 is where they will go from here. With there was talk that Stanford and Cal, because they're all the way out in the West Coast, maybe they could just be football and basketball, but nope, they are all in. SMU's case is interesting. They wanted in a power conference so bad that they will not receive media revenue shares for 9 years, their first 9 years in the league. So while everybody else is getting those payouts from ESPN for the ACC network and their first and second tier rights and all that, SMU's not going to get any of it. Meanwhile, Stanford and Cal, they're going to receive 30% revenue shares. And by comparison, the Big Ten is going to pay Oregon and Washington around 40 to 45%. USC, UCLA, the 4 corner schools in the Big 12, those new members are getting 100% revenue shares in their leagues. The additional revenue is going to create for the ACC about $50 to $60 million, and that pie will be split among the existing members of the ACC for the most part. And here's the kicker of this league. Everyone that's in it knows they are in a bad TV contract with ESPN. They are stuck, tied to the hip with ESPN through 2036. They wanted a network so bad that they signed a bad contract that holds their rights for that long, till eternity it feels like. And their grant of rights also runs through then. And the grant of rights gives ESPN the right to air those ACC games. And we've heard the ideas of potential lawsuits to break that grant of rights and that TV contract, as Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina and others are searching for potential options. So that'll be something to monitor there if they can find a way to break that grant of rights. More from Brett McMurphy, America's college football insider, tweeting in May, an ACC official, when the Action Network asked about expansion, we already have too many mouths to feed. That's not the answer. 4 months later, the ACC adds Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Imagine that. On the field, this isn't going to move the needle for the ACC. Okay? Think about this. Stanford has not been relevant in college football since pretty much Andrew Luck was there. It has been a long time. And Cal, you have to go back to when Aaron Rodgers was there in the early 2000s, for the last time Cal was relevant in college football. In SMU, the Pony excess days before they ultimately got the death penalty was the last time they were on a national stage. They've started to turn a corner over the last couple of seasons, but nonetheless, these are not just powerhouse football programs. Sure, you're going to help your current members by now allowing them to get to recruit in the state of Texas and to get to recruit in the state of California. You expand your footprint in that regard. But as far as these 3 schools go, of what they bring to the football field, they don't add much, if anything, at all. And with where the Big 12 is at, with their new 8 members, in addition to the hateful 8 that are already there, the Big 12 is without question the number 3 power conference. The ACC may have more teams, but the Big 12 is the league that's going to be calling the shots here. So with that said, it's the SEC, it's the Big 10, the Big 12, and then the ACC's a distant spot behind the Big 12. So with realignment, let's catch you up on where everything is at as we enter the world of college football in 2024, where everything stands going forward. We look at the ACC. They add these 3 members, Cal, SMU, and Stanford. Meanwhile, the Big Ten Conference, their new members include Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington beginning next year. The Big 12, their 4 members, include Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. The SEC's new members include Oklahoma and Texas. And then the college football playoff, that's expanding to 12 teams beginning next season. And we could see some potential format changes. As the playoff stands right now, it includes the top 6 conference champions get automatic bids, And the SEC and the Big Ten would like to see that changed, obviously, for more at-large bids to get into said playoffs. So now the next question in the realignment puzzle is what the hell happens to Washington State and Oregon State? They're kind of just left out to dry while the other 10 schools have moved on. Now with a grand total of 10 members leaving the Pac-12, those 10 members have the votes to dissolve the Pac-12 and officially kill the conference as is and not allow anybody else to take the branding of the Pac-12. And so that leaves Oregon State and Washington State either to try to build a new conference from scratch and try to carry on some legacy of the Pac-12 of some sorts, or they can go to the Mountain West or the American Athletic Conference. Nobody is taking them as a power conference member. It's over for those two schools. Where do you think that Washington State and Oregon State are going to end up? Is it a reformed Pac-12? Is it the Mountain West? Is it the American? What do you think it is? Chime in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Appreciate you joining us here on College Football Now. Subscribe to the channel for more college football coverage. We have you covered each and every day. I'm so excited. We actually have real football in the field, too. Last night was a lot of fun. How about them Huskers losing? That was entertaining. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on College Football Now.